Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we are going to be comparing a 2020 Chevy 1500 LTZ with the Duramax and then a 2020 Ram 1500 Laramie with the Eco Diesel. So as always, we're going to do a quick walk around on both trucks, comparing them so we can compare all of the features. Then I'm going to pick which one I would rather purchase. As always, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Dodge Ram here in Provo and the Larry H. Miller Chevy here in Provo for providing us with both the trucks. Links in the description below to both of their inventories. And by the way, if you want to see driving impressions on these trucks, I'm going to include a link in the description to my review on the LTZ and on the Laramie Eco Diesel. Let's get into the video. Let's go to the hoods of both of the trucks, and we will start with the Chevy. So under the hood of the Chevy, we have a 3-liter inline 6, also known as the Baby Duramax. It goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 23 around town and 29 on the highway, with power outputs being 277 horsepower and then 460 foot-pounds of torque. Now, heading over to the Ram over here, we have the 3-liter V6 Eco Diesel, which puts out 260 horsepower and then 480 foot-pounds of torque, with fuel economy being 21 around town and then 29 on the highway. So just to sum things up for you guys, if that was a little bit too quick, a little bit better fuel economy around town, a little bit more horsepower, less torque. More torque, less horsepower, worse fuel economy around town. V6, inline 6. Case closed. Let's go over things on the front ends of both of the trucks. Starting over on the Chevy, this is just a traditional LTZ, so nothing too crazy happening here. You get the LED lights as standard, and you get those little LED accent lights. If you're wondering why those are flickering, that's just the frame rate on the camera compared to the light. Now, there are also parking sensors just at the bottom of the bumper. The integration on them is it's okay, leaves much to be desired. Do have tow hooks there at the bottom with the fog lights. Now, this Ram is a night edition, so it has the sport hood up top, and then the lights themselves are blacked out, full LEDs just like on the Chevy. Front grill's all blacked out, and then you can see the parking sensors. It's a lot harder to notice them because they're integrated a little bit better. No tow hooks though, still get fog lights, and yeah, there is everything on the front end of both of the trucks. Now let's go over things on the side here. So we've got 275mm tires on the Chevy. They are on 20-inch rims. Now over here on the Ram, we've got 22s with 285mm tires. So a little bit bigger rim, and you can see the actual profile on the tire. These ones are going to be better for the off-road on the Chevy, whereas these ones are going to be a little bit better for street use. Now the other thing to mention on the side is you got this nice fender flare on the Laramie. No fender flare here on the Chevy. The Chevy though does have mud flaps, a little side step that goes all the way down to the back, and then you get more mud flaps in the rear. This Ram also happens to have mud flaps, side steps down the side, and then there's another mud flap on the side. Ram logo there, and yeah, let's head out back. Here is the key fob for the Chevy. You got the Chevy logo on the back. Now there's a couple functions on the front. You have your unlock, the lock, remote start, and then you have the tailgate drop down. Now we'll do the remote start function for the diesel. You have to lock it first, hold this down, and then if you listen very, very carefully, you can kind of hear it. It's pretty quiet. It's a little bit quieter than the Eco Diesel, and I'll compare the sound in just a moment. But anyways, press that again and then I'll shut it off. Now the tailgate release, just press that twice and it'll fall down. Now I have been told that you can raise the tailgate, but when I'm pressing it, it's not really wanting to cooperate. So I tried, guys. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. We'll try to put it like halfway up here. Here, we'll put it halfway up. Yeah, it still doesn't want to go. I don't know. I can't figure it out. Anyways, we've got bed liner here in the rear of this particular Chevy. There's little LED bed lights, and then you got the Chevy bow tie there at the front. And then finally, the bed itself, it's really light, and yeah, it just pops right into place. Now the key fob here on the Ram is identical to one on the Chevy with the functions. You got your unlock, your lock, remote start, and the tailgate drop down. So if you press the remote start function twice, it'll beep twice, and takes a second. Takes a really long second. There we go. It took long enough. Yep, there's a remote start. It's not nearly as quiet as the Duramax. It's a little bit louder. And press that again, that'll shut it off. Now the tailgate drop down, pressing that for some reason, oh wait, there we go. It dropped down this time. Anyways, you've got the bed liner here in the back, just like in the Chevy. This little part is plastic because this has a multi-function tailgate. You've got the little LED lights there on the back, and then cargo light up top. And finally, lifting it up, this is definitely heavier than the Chevy's tailgate, but what you have in heaviness, you gain in functionality because, well, it opens up like barn doors. So there's your multi-function tailgate, and when you're done, you have to close it back in order and make sure it's fully locked out. Let's go over things on the rear of both of the trucks. Let's start over with the Chevy LTZ. Now, obviously, you got all the regular logos on the back. They kind of do square tips for the exhaust. It's kind of just like these little smush tips. Pretty interesting. You've got parking sensors in the back with the receiver hitch. You have this little step, so this will help you get up into the bed. And then the lights themselves, you got these kind of like wraparound little LEDs. Now, over onto the Ram, you've got all blacked out logos with this night package and full LED lights again. You got this little black part here is the sensor. Now, the parking sensors at the bottom again are a little bit more well integrated. You can see it, they're kind of hiding. Blacked out exhaust tips. And yeah, that is pretty much everything for the rear. Opening up the back of the Chevy here, we've got the door panel in the back. So you got kind of like this soft touch on the door panel, and then you got the little wood trim here. And here are the seats in the back of the Chevy. And then there actually are these little storage pockets behind the seats, which I think is pretty neat. Now, lifting up the seat, there is the little storage bins underneath for some extra storage. And, well, of course, we're going to pop in. So the side steps make getting in really easy. Once you are in, you'll notice that we've got a couple cup holders here, heated seats for the back, and some more charging stations, and get a full little center console. And then finally, let's talk about space. So legroom, I mean, I have my legs pretty much all the way stretched out. And then in terms of headroom, I'm about 5'11", and I mean, sitting all the way straight up, I still have a little bit more room. So yeah, let's head over to the Ram. Coming over to the Ram, the door panel in the back obviously looks a little bit nicer. You've got this nice suede insert with the kind of black trim, and then you got this stitching in leather and more stitching in leather down there. And then here are these seats, and they've got like the little suede inserts with the leather bolsters. Just looks and feels nice. And same thing, so the side steps help with getting in and out, makes it a whole lot easier. And here you'll notice pretty much the same setup. Cup holders, nice little black trim. You got your heated seats, USB ports, and a little power outlet. Over here, this actually pulls down to be a kind of like little mini center console. And then under the seats themselves, there's a ton of storage. And I did forget to mention, if we pick up the rubber floor mat, there are ice buckets on both sides for even more storage in the Ram. So storage is plentiful, and you can see legroom. I have my legs all the way stretched out again. Headroom, we're solid. So I'm gonna head to the front. Coming up to the door panel up front, you got the lock function, and then press it again to unlock it. You can see the mirrors there now. And then the actual panel itself on the inside, you can see you've got all the same materials as what's in the back, pretty much. Same wood trim, all that. Got all your controls here, your mirror controls, all that normal stuff. Bose sound system. Here's the seat in the front, and again, full leather. It's got some nice contrasted stitching. Power adjustments on the side of the seat. There's your little pedal layout, your parking brake over here, your light controls are all over here in this little area. And then you got your different shifters, so you got your auto, two-wheel high, four-wheel low, and then this is your drive mode select, which we'll go over later. Steering wheel is going to be manually adjustable, and let's head over to the Dodge now. Again, we've got keyless entry, except you put your hands back here, and then it's supposed to unlock. We've got the little mirror there on the side. Now the door panel is identical to what's in the rear of the Ram, and you can see this little door handle. This one has the Harman Kardon sound system. Window controls here. It does have power folding mirrors. Now here's the seat in the front. It says Laramie at the top of it. So really solid there. Power adjustments are also on the side, just like the Chevy. There's the pedal layout just down below. You've got your adjustments for the pedals, and then you got your parking brake, light controls all in this little area. Steering wheel again is going to be manually adjustable. To start up the Chevy, just push that. If it needs to warm up the diesel, it will. Gauges will do their long sweep. The radio will probably pop on. Oh, I got lucky this time. Here is our steering wheel in the Chevy LTZ. Zooming in, we have our little controls for the center stack. Got our voice command phone controls, heated steering wheel, collision assistance, cruise control. Now the leather itself, relatively soft. You got some nice stitching on the inside of it. Over here is our stock for the windshield wipers and the turn signals. And then this is the column shifter. You can shift through the gears yourself with that 10-speed automatic if you want. And that's all right there. Now, actually popping into the center gauge cluster itself, you can see there's a couple different menus that you can scroll through that just give you different bits of information, like your navigation, your phone controls, and then you can get information on the truck as well. RPMs over on the left side, and then you got the speed on the right side. You can see the red line is right around 5,000 RPMs roughly. With the infotainment system, if we pop it into reverse, the camera system will pop up, and I love Chevy's camera system actually. This is one of my favorite parts of the truck. So as you can see, there are tons of different viewpoints to go through on the truck itself. And so in terms of just parking this truck and just any visibility that you need on the truck, this camera system has it. It's really solid. And you guys have seen the commercials where you can do like the invisible trailer, all that kind of stuff if you have the right packages on the truck, which is pretty cool. And I mean, it has a cargo camera for a 1500. So yeah, super solid. The rest of the infotainment system, response time on it, I feel like is pretty solid. You get Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. This comes with navigation in the LTZ package. Everything loads up at a relative pace, and they actually do give you little analog buttons just down below for certain functions like your home screen and then the radio controls. Other than that, pretty normal infotainment system. Down below all of that, we have our climate controls. Dual zone climate for the front here, and then we do get heated and cooled seats all in this little section, and then the heated seats you can do it just on the back or on your butt and the back. This is your hill descent control. This is to turn on some of the outlets, stability control, hazard lights. You've got the tailgate drop down, auto stop start, parking sensors, lane departure assistance. Trailer brakes are already integrated with the truck. And then you got a bunch of little charging stations all in this area. Here is the center console, which you got some more storage space up above on it. And then there's a couple more charging stations. And then here's kind of like a full view on that. More cup holders. We do have wireless charging for a phone. And then finally, you've got the glove boxes in this little area. And I mean, still glove box, decent amount of storage. Some nice stitching all around that. Top here, we actually got lucky. We got a little sunroof here in our LTZ, and we do have some cool features. So this is for the power rear sliding window, and I guess I'll just open and close it fully so you guys can see what that looks like. Light controls up there, and then the headliner is a lighter color. It's kind of like a darkish, lightish gray. It's the best way to describe it. It's lighter than the black interior. To start up the Ram, push button again, just like the Chevy. It'll say Laramie there in the center. Gauges will do their long little scroll function, and yeah, everything will come to life. Here is the steering wheel in the Ram. Now zooming in, cruise control is just in this little area. Got this blank switch, that's for the adaptive cruise control. You got your gear selector, voice commands, all that kind of stuff, and this is for the center screen. Now the leather on the steering wheel is smoother than what's on the Chevy for the feel, and then there's just black contrasted stitching on this. Now you've got the little stock again for the turn signal and the windshield wipers. Coming into the center stack, we can see the RPMs over here, and the red line's below 5,000 RPMs, and then you got the speed on the other side. Now here in the center, that's that little center screen you can scroll through. Gives you pretty much all the same information that what the Chevy gives you. It's just the actual aesthetic appearance of it, in my opinion, looks a little bit more modern. Here is our infotainment system, and this one's got the 8.4 inch. If we pop it into reverse, backup camera's gonna pop up. Got the little zoom function on that backup camera as well. Now in terms of just the rest of the functionality on it, it functions really well. It's super similar to Chevy's touchscreen in terms of size and response time and all of the controls that you get with it. No fancy 360 camera system or cargo camera system. You can get a 360 camera on the Ram, but you cannot get a cargo camera for the half ton. Still get heated and ventilated seats, which I didn't mean to turn that on. It's like 40 degrees outside, so don't want that. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the touchscreen. Now just below the touchscreen, we have all of our analog controls for the radio, your analog controls for the heated and cooled seats, and the climate controls themselves. Below that, parking sensors, tow haul mode, stability control, and then we've got a couple little charging stations. This is the remnants of a CD player, rest in peace. Here's our shifter, and it is a dial shifter in the Ram, so you just gotta kind of go like that. 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel auto, your 4-wheel high, and then your 4-wheel lower all in that little area. This is the center console. Now opening it up, it's all lined with felt, and it's got the measuring tables in the back. Functionality on this is a little bit better than what Chevy has. Still get wireless charging with this and another power outlet. I just like the fact that you can slide this back and forth. Definitely miss having that in my life. Over here, it says Laramie on the front of the glove box, and then opening it up, again, lined with felts, and storage space is pretty similar to what's in the Chevy. We get a universal garage door opener up top, and then power rear sliding window, and, well, there you go. Power rear sliding window in all of its glory. No sunroof in this one, but you can get a panoramic sunroof, and I'm glad that they made the headliner black so it matches the rest of the truck. Let's go over pricing quickly. So this Chevy stickers for about $63,000, and then this Ram stickers for about $64,000. So they're basically the same price. Now, I guess that we have to pick a winner at this point. Now, with the Chevy, I guess the downsides are the fact that the parking sensors and other stuff isn't integrated so well. The interior's nice with the features that it has. It's really loaded up with features. Just the interior materials aren't the nicest, whereas the Ram, everything's integrated a little bit better. It's more aesthetically pleasing to look at, a little bit nicer interior, but it has less features than the Chevy. Now, the other thing that we have to take into consideration is the engines on both of the trucks. So I have a feeling that the long-term reliability on the Chevy is going to be a little bit better than the Ram. However, this is a new EcoDiesel, so it should do pretty well. In terms of the power and torque figures, they're almost identical. Fuel economy is almost identical. So from an engine perspective, they're pretty much at a tie, and well, that makes things a little bit difficult. But what I'm going to say is the Ram is the winner for this particular comparison, just because the interior is a little bit nicer, the exterior styling is a little bit nicer, and it definitely feels closer to the price tag, whereas the Chevy lags behind just slightly. I want you guys to let me know in the comment section below which truck you would rather buy, whether it's the Chevy or the Ram. And again, as always, a huge shout out and thank you to the Dodge Ram here in Provo and the Chevy here in Provo for providing us with both the trucks. Links to their inventory in the description below. And again, if you're stopping for the first time, please subscribe. I will see all of you in that next